Guys, it's Thursday night and I'm hungry, so I'm going to do some streaming to keep myself from having to think about it too much. Give me a hot second to make sure that my signals are good. Here we go, and sounds good to me. Okay, cool. And now I just gotta tweet things out to Twitter and then punch Discord here real quick. It's just going to take me a couple seconds and then we'll be on track. And while I am doing this, you would do me a huge favor if you like and subscribe. Check out the description below because there is links to work I've done on the DMsGuild that is 100% free for you to look at. Decide if you like the cut of my jib to get to support the work. If you don't, read it anyway. It's fun stuff. But I am just about 3, 2, and where am I at here in command? Bloop. And just one more, and then, okay, great, we're good to go. Okay, cool. So today we are looking at, let's get to my screen here to resort this out so that you can see more of my environment. There we go. Okay, so we're working on In Command. This is, if you've been following along with what I've been doing, you know that, here, I'll get rid of this. You'll know that I've been working on Greenest in Flames, which is converting the first chapter of Horde of the Dragon Queen into the mass combat system that is going to be published on DMsGuild that myself and Ukulele Bard have been working on. We got Adam Hancock is doing our editing. It curves into, if you know Balderon's Guide to Kingdom Building, this project complements that work and goes in a lot of additional directions, such as building mass combat system that works just as easily as 5e combat does. At the 5-foot scale, you can scale up to hundreds of miles, thousands of miles. Spelljammers coming in. If you want to have an armada of dwarven citadels taking on a fleet of Illithid ships, it's super simple to do using this system. I've got previous streams looking at converting Greenest into a 50-foot scale and squads of 4 to 16 enemies operating at the 5-foot scale against each other. I'm going to be doing playtesting on that starting later on this month. And but for today, what we're doing specifically is we are looking at Guilds and Kingdoms. In Command, the book is In Command of Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms. So we've handled armies, and we've looked at some of the content for armies previously, but now we're looking specifically at Guilds and Kingdoms. So I've got a couple hours to burn this evening. I've got developments of downtime activities when they're performed by guilds, as well as attaining resources for guilds, as well as kingdoms and building kingdoms using the same guild system. So what is the guild system? So we know from previous command streams that I've done that there's let me make sure I've got good colors here for me to ramble for a little bit, but while I ramble, you are most certainly welcome to drop some notes down in the chat, ask me questions if you want, but I'm just going to ramble for a while like I do. So we know that level 1 to 4 is first rank, 5 to 8 is second, 9 to 12 is third, 13 to 16 is fourth, and then 17 to 20 is fifth rank. We know that creatures that are below 1 CR are first rank, 1 to 4 is second rank, 5 to 9 is third rank, 10 to 13 is fourth rank, and then 14 plus is fifth rank. So guilds are kind of like NPCs. What we're looking at is like when you build a combat unit, you have your character, and then you build a squad around your character that have 1, 2, 3. This is a 2x2 squad. If you are, and that's first tier. If you're second tier, you can build a 4x4 squad. So you've got your character, and then you've got 15 mooks running around with you, and you're able to attack things like dragons. Rawr. So if you're third, you can scale up to 6x6, and then it goes to 8x8, and then 10x10, which is 100 mooks. If you step up to the 50-foot square, then you can automatically fit. Let me make that eraser bigger. You can automatically fit 100 mooks inside of a 50 by 50 foot square, because you've got 10 mooks by 10 mooks is 50 by 50, so 50 foot scale. But a first rank command, you don't have to be 17th level to command 100 soldiers. No, you upscale to 50, and then you've got your first level character who at the 50 foot scale is controlling 1, 2, 3 units of mooks. So you've got up to 100 mooks here, 100 mooks here, 100 mooks here. You could have an army of 300 that you're leading at first level. That feels pretty strong, right? Cool. Well, that's what we did. That's what we did with Greenus, because Greenus, you got this 50-foot square. We know there's about, from the numbers that we have in the adventure itself, we know there's about 1,000 enemies, dragon cultists that are attacking this town, and this town has maybe about 400 people in it. So they're going to loot the hell out of this until the adventurers show up. And what the adventurers do when we convert this is the adventurers rally the villagers to be able to get to the fort. Once they get to the fort, they can rally the soldiers that are stuck there, fight off the dragon that's attacking the fort, and once the dragon is fought off, the army in the town doesn't have any aerial support anymore. Now you can roll out of the fort and you can start curb stomping all these kobolds with your small army. This is at first level, and it works really well. I'm really looking forward to play testing it, and that's going to be part of the book. So that's at the 50-foot scale. You could have up to 100 units in that squad, so you can roll from square to square. You can see here in the castle, it's a 2x2. So if you have a character at first level, you could be in command of this entire fortress while you're fighting a dragon that's swooping by and trying to breathe lightning breath to kill your guys, right? Well, all you got to really do is hit him with 40 some odd arrows at one time, and that dragon's going to get the message that he's not welcome here. And if you're using longbows, there is literally nowhere the dragon can go in town and not get completely clobbered by a bunch of arrows. So once you knock the dragon out, you can take your squad and you occupy a 50-foot square, and like say you run across the main force that's been trying to blockade the castle. You can roll up on them, and zoop, here we are at the 50-foot by 50-foot scale, and we've got, say, your group of characters are commanding this squad of 40 soldiers, and you got your 1, 2, 3, 4. You got your 4 heroes here, and then now you're fighting off your kobolds and your dragon cultists and your initiates and your guards that are protecting them. You guys can roll basically as a first level fight, doing like D8 or D6 points of damage times 100 because there's so many of them that are fighting it. Otherwise it just uses normal 5e, so you could like run from between these towns and get cover by having your squad dodge behind this building here. And if your enemy is trying to pursue through down these roads, and you can lead down here, and you can shoot arrow fire from behind the buildings to completely hose this area. It works just like 5e. It's just at a much bigger scale. So I'll have to redraw this map so that the buildings are more accommodating to the 50 by 50 foot scale to create these fun little dungeon maps going through the town. But that's the core essentials of it. So this squad mechanic is where the bread and butter of guilds are at. Guilds are squads that don't fight. Well, if you had a mercenary guild, then the guild would be squads of soldiers that fight stuff for money. But what if you have a blacksmith guild? They're not going to go fight and kill things with a hammer. They're going to build swords, shields, clocks, maybe some cute little dragonfly pennants, or maybe some Tarrasque-shaped paperweights. They're blacksmiths. Blacksmiths do what blacksmiths do. So as you gain higher ranks in your guild, you can have larger and larger squads that are able to perform more impressive tasks. A 5th rank guild that's a blacksmith is going to be like creating iron golems and then recruiting a wizard to enchant it, as opposed to a 1st rank blacksmith shop that's going to be making horseshoes. So you got to start somewhere, and then you build up. So the way that this works is as you start off and you're just a guy, you're a character, and your character decides that he wants to make a blacksmith guild or any kind of a smithy guild that's eventually going to make iron golems. Cool. So you're going to start off, you're going to invest time in creating a point of resource. And as you accumulate more resources, you fill your zone. And once your command zone has been filled, you upgrade. Here's your first rank command zone. And as you fill it with resources, it upgrades to a second rank command zone. And as you fill resources in your zone, it upgrades again to a third rank command zone, which you fill up, and eventually a fifth rank command zone has 100 by 100 squares, or has 10 by 10 squares, which is 100 resources. So let's look at this. So when you are performing a task has a rank assigned to it. Like for example, let's go to crafting. Crafting non-magical items. So duration, if it takes less than, like it typically takes, let's see, you have an allocation of 10 gold. Let's see, a creature material worth half the item's selling cost. To determine how many days it takes to create an item, divide the gold piece cost by 10. A character can complete multiple items in a day if the item's combined cost is 10 or less. Items that cost more than 10 gold pieces can be completed over longer periods of time, as long as the work progress is stored in a safe location. That's pretty straightforward Xanathars. So if it takes less than 1 day to complete, like it's less than 10 gold pieces in value, that's something that a first rank guild can perform. And to do so, it's going to take a DC of 13 on your crafting check or your guild check. If it takes more than 1 day to complete, it's a second rank task, and it's going to take DC 16 to complete it. If it's 10 plus days, third rank, 19 days. If it takes a whole season to complete, it's a DC 22 as a fourth rank task. And if it takes at least a year, like an airship or maybe an iron golem or a castle, that's a fifth rank task. It's going to have a DC of 25. So a first rank character, and you can see this from the previous sessions, but just to explain it to you, the command bonus that you get by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th rank is going to be a D4, kind of like psionic dice. It's a D4 plus your rank plus 1. A second rank is going to use a psionic sort of die. It's a command die of D6 plus 2, then D8 plus 3, D10 plus 4, D12 plus 5. So if you're a 5th rank commander and you're ordering, pit fiends to attack Azariel in Avernus, then you're probably a 17th level character that's doing stuff like that. If you're having pit fiends following your lead, you're a 5th rank commander, which means that when you tell them what to do, you're going to roll a d20, you're going to add a d12, you're going to add a plus 5. That's the attack roll that you're commanding these pit fiends to make. Chances are you're going to crack out somewhere around, say, a 10 plus 6, 16, 5, 21. On average, you're going to hit a 21 AC. That's not too off mark with what you would expect a pit fiend to already do. It's just, you just got 500 of them backing you up while you go attack Azariel's flying citadel. That's Descent into Avernus if you're playing the bad guys. So guilds work the same way. Guilds, when a guild gets made, your character might command the guild, but the guild, it's designed to create downtime activities for you. You can walk away from it, and your guild's going to do the deal. So, hey, guild, make me some new weapons for these skeletal warriors that I keep animating because I'm a necromancer. So I want to have a steady supply of weapons. And blacksmiths look at me weird when I ask them to give Ziggy the skeleton a sword. So I'm just going to make my own crafting guild so I can always recruit and equip my 10,000 skeletons when I go attack Cormier. So stop me if you can, Harpers. I dare ya. So if you have a first rank guild, and so that means you're going to have a D4 plus 1 to your craft check when you're creating stuff, and D4 plus 1, and then on top of that the D20. So D20 plus D4 plus 1. You're going to average probably around a 13. So you got roughly a better than 50% chance of succeeding at this task. You can there's additional mechanics that allow you to overexert or overinvest resources to do so. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about resources. Let's say a guild is performing this task of making a sword, and they're going to allocate 1 point of resources. So this is their command zone, is a 4x4. Performing a task is either a 1x1 for a first rank task, it's 2x2 for a second rank task, it's a 3x3 for a third rank task, it's 4x4 for a fourth rank task, and then it's 5x5 for a fifth rank task. If you want to perform a fifth rank task, like creating an all iron golem, you're going to have to fill a 5x5 zone of resources to that task. If all you need to do is make a stupid magic, if you just want to make a long sword that costs 8 gold pieces, you can make one of those in a day, and it only takes 1 resource for you to do that. So when you have a guild that is like say a third rank guild that's going to have a 1 2 3 4 5 6 by 1 2 3 4 5 6 by 1 2 3. Okay, so you have a 6 by 6. This is third. This is a third rank guild. This is how much space. This is its command zone size. But it has to create all these resources to get there. So by the time you have 16 resources and you've filled your second rank zone, it automatically upgrades to a third rank. You become a third rank guild by amassing this many resources. Now you can start filling resources in here. So you're going to have, let's say you've got, let's say you've got 20 resources total, okay? So, and you are prioritizing your tasks for the month. Like you want to be able to, you're only third rank, so you have 20 resources. That means you literally don't have enough resources to create an iron golem yet. So as it stands right now, it would be very difficult for you to do that. You would have to recruit in more people to get the resources. But let's say you do something that's a little easier, like let's say you wanted to make a what's a crafting check that might take that might be a third rank task. How about an iron shod war chariot that you would be able to take into battle and have archers pew 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 shooting off the top of and pew 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 out of the sides. And you got a horse inside of here that's protected by these iron greaves. So you basically have an iron tank around your horse. That might be a third rank task to make something like that. So to do that, third rank 3x3, it's going to take 9 resources for you to fill this area with 9 tasks. You now have 11 resources left. Each of these squares requires a resource. So you now have 11 resources left. You could do, let's say you're investing these 9 resources this season to create things like a horse tank. Okay? Any crafting check that you're making that's third rank or lower, you've paid for it. If you want to try to do something beyond third rank, like even fourth rank, even though it takes 16 resources, you only invested 9, you're going to be at disadvantage on your die roll. And you're going to have to make a command check. So if you're third rank, you're using a D6, D4, D6, you're using a D8, you'll have to roll an 8 on, you have to roll a 3 on a D8 on top of hitting the, if we're talking about a fourth rank task, and you're a third rank guild, a fourth rank task is a CDC of 5. If you were a fifth rank guild and you had a D12 to roll, a 4 ain't that very difficult. But for a third rank guild, having to roll a 4 on a fourth rank task is a 5, and you're using a third rank guild who has a D8 hit die, command die. 5 on a D8 is really difficult. So if you screw up, it means you get delayed. Or you have to invest, like, for example, if you only put 9 resources into that 4th rank task, you're at disadvantage. So let's say you roll a 13 and you needed a 16. You just didn't have the gusto. You can take these 11 resources over here and then invest up so that you're burning down your resources until you get to 16. Hey, you succeeded the task, but it took you more resources than you expected. You're now left with 8 resources for the quarter, for the season to do other stuff. Like, say, I don't know, let's say you're going to put 2 ranks, you're going to put 4 resources into getting a networking to establish connections with a mithril mine that can provide you with enough ore for you to be able to build, say, magic hammers. I don't know. I'm just making stuff as I go along, but we're laying all that stuff out in the book, like what that is. Like, here's the crafting checks that you need to make. So, if you want to do a mithril hammer, it's going to be a 4th rank, like, say it's a 4th rank task. It's going to be DC 22. If it's like, say, a magic hammer, then you're going to have to learn how to, the DMsGuild says you have to learn how to make the hammer, so you need like a formula to do that. So you have to research the formula. Then you have to obtain the resources necessary. Say it's a mithril hammer. You now have to go get the mithril for you to be able to then craft. So you know the DC is going to be 22 to craft the hammer. If your character wants to do it themselves, they have to roll the 22. But if you want to go off and fight Loth or something while your magic hammer is being made, you can hand it to your magic hammer guild and say, hey, make me a magic hammer. They're going to use their resources that they have available in the guild, so you don't have to be there. So that by the time you're done, you come back at the end of the season. Hey, I got a magic hammer. Great, let's go, I don't know, fight Asmodeus now. Whoever's next on the chopping block as we dance our way through Hells. So you got crafting. We know we want to hit rank of 4. We need a DC 22 to be able to successfully make the hammer, but we also need to get the formula, find out how to make a magic hammer, and we need to have the resources to make the magic hammer. We won't know what resources we need until we do the research check. So let's just dance down here. Let's dance down the book to skipping, maintain lifestyle, foraging, networking. You can use networking to access materials. So depending on the size of the community you're in, depends on how easy it is for you to get access to the craft rank that you need. So we know that a magic hammer is 4th rank. If you try to do this in a settlement of like some like, you know, it's a random prospector with a plate and a river and his mule and a tent, that's a settlement that he's trying to build into a mining community. The chances of him having access to mithril and that river is you're gonna have to roll a 28 on your die. It's possible that he could, and that's being determined by the die roll. Is how likely is it that this guy actually knows how to get a hold of mithril? It doesn't have to be in that lake or that river or whatever. It just means the people in this community can get you mithril. You only rolled a 12. Damn it. It's like, well, maybe the DM can say, well, maybe we know how to get that. Oops, I'm sorry. This is networking. I wanted to go down to figuring out what you actually need to make the hammer. So a hammer, very hard task. It's going to be a DC 25 roll on your research lore check. Your character could do this himself and invest 40 days of time, spend 500 gold at Candlekeep to get in front. Hey, how about that? The formula of crafting a very rare magic item. It's almost like I planned this, but I swear to God, I'm just pulling things out of the sky. So if your character can roll that DC 25, or you could just recruit the library to do it for you. So this is just you doing it. But what about if you have, okay, here's conducting research, success, failure, misinformation. There's misinformation that you could, like, I could be seeding lies about what Asmodeus' true name is. So when you go and research his full name, it says here it's Squiggly. Asmodeus' real name is Squiggly. So you're going to use Squiggly in your magic spell to get the edge over Asmodeus, to make him give you what you want when you do your gate and contact other spell. Unfortunately, he actually seeded that as a lie. And if you weren't smart enough to figure out that, well, maybe this isn't actually true, you're going to fall for his trap. And you don't get Asmodeus, you get Asmodeus' bodyguard, who really just beats the snarl out of you in your magic circle. So you can do checks to validate the information you receive by checking it against cross-referencing other resources to verify that what you're looking at is legitimate or not. If it's not a high-risk target, then chances are you can be okay with the information. But like if you're trying to find, like, say, the floor plans to a castle that you want to raid, there's a decent likelihood that the king killed the engineer and then leaked false information about where secret doors are, or where different panels are, or where pit traps are made, so that when you go into this dungeon to try to break into the castle, all the information you have is wrong. And if your character isn't double checking themselves while they go through the dungeon, oh, you popped a pit trap. That pit trap wasn't on the map. Damn it, this map is no good. And now you have to backtrack a little bit. And now you have to actually like get out your 10-foot pole and poke your way through this thing, because the information you got is a lie. But if your team was smart, they would have paid the extra gold to cross-reference and verify that the information they got is correct. So, assuming that we got an accurate magic hammer, we got the accurate information, the correct research to craft a magic hammer. You spend your time. You could have hired a guild to do it for you. Guilds researching lore. There you go. So if it's a very hard task, AC4, it's not just going to be 400 cost gold piece and days needed per invested rank. So if you've got a fourth rank, if you're using a third rank task to find out about this very hard information, if you hire a guild to do it, then you're not going to spend 400 gold to do it yourself and spend 40 days. Instead, you're going to hire a guild. You're going to spend 2,100 gold to have the guild do it for you. But look, they only need 24 days to do it. I could do the work myself or hire a sage to do it in 40 days. But if I need that magic hammer like next month because of the full moon, when I don't know, Loth rises to power and takes over the blah blah. Well, if I can get my if I can get my lore in time, I can get it built. So I need to find out the lore. It's going to take only 24 days instead of 40. I now know that I'm going to need mithril to make this hammer. Great. Now we can go back to what I was talking about. Go back to the crafting area. No, we don't need to go crafting. Now we need to find mithril. Now we're back at the prospector, and you just walk into some random guy who's panning for gold in the lake. It's like, hey, do you know where to get mithril? And then you can do a check. And if that poor guy doesn't networking, accessing materials, he's in a settlement at 28. He's like, no, I have no idea where to find mithril. But I bet if you go to Baldur's Gate, there's a decent chance that they would know. I can guarantee you. If you go further, they go to Waterdeep, they'll know. Well, Baldur's Gate's only a fourth rank community. It's a city. It's not a metropolis. It's a city. But if you want to do the extra 200-mile march to get to Waterdeep, they're a metropolis. They're fifth rank. Chances are they've got a really good chance of being able to get you some mithril. They only need to roll a 6. Waterdeep would only need to roll a 16 to be able to say, yeah, right now, here's a guy, he can help you with mithril. It might not be easy for you to convince him. You might have to try to recruit him as an ally that is willing to help hook you up, or we could do something like acquiring new communities. These are some of the things that I need to flesh out today. I'm just walking through the process of what it takes for you to, like, here's all the process, like all the downtime activities that your character or an NPC hireling, like a sidekick, or a whole guild can do these things, and there's no limit to what tasks you can have. I'm just laying out some of the more obvious ones here, like scouting missions to find out what's in a hex. If you don't want to go there yourself, you could take a squad of 7 scouts and have them go off to that hex and map it for you. And then when you come back next week, the DM hands you the map. It's like, here's what they found in the hex. Do you want to make that command check to see how well they roll? It's like, yeah, here it is. Like, great, that's a die. It's like, well, that's a crap die roll. It's like, well, do you want to invest some more resources in it to make sure that's a roll that you want? It's like, yeah, well, that's going to cash out all your ability this month to be able to to have people go off and scout for you. It's like, well, I think it's worth it. I want to find out what's in that hex. It's like, great. You hit the roll. You threw on the extra resources. The DM might have an accurate map and might have a map full of misinformation because the scouts screwed up. So that's one thing you can do. We already talked about researching lore. You can research magic spells as well, which are laid out in the DMG and Xanathars. We're just translating it into this command system with that have pretty static DCs, and the rank of the level of the spell determines the rank, determines the amount of materials that you need. Most of this is just extracted from the source content that already exists, and it's just recalibrated to fit into this 5-rank tier, this 5-rank system. Researching, you can even hire spellcasters, especially like if you're putting an army together and you need some clerics to keep the guys alive. Well, what level of spell do you need? Here's what's gonna cost you to hire them. If you want to just if you just want to pay for them, or you can try to recruit them in through networking to gain a new ally by making say your god is interested in this war. We're going to kill your god's arch enemy if you come and tag along with us. It's like, well, great. That sounds like a great idea. As long as I get a cut of the treasure, I'm your guy for as long as you need me. It's like, what a great crusade. Sweet. That's spell casting, but we can do all sorts of stuff. This is just a piece of it. So we'll have some examples. We'll talk about like what happens if you want to recruit Xanathar in Waterdeep to get rid of some evidence for you. All he has to do is go with his little disintegrator eye and just go, it's gone. But he's got a whole stack of stuff he has to look at. Maybe he doesn't want to waste his time with that. Maybe he's going to make you do him a favor, and you're going to figure that out when you go through the networking of trying to recruit Xanathar in to permanently get rid of some incriminating evidence that you know that Xanathar is going to be really good at getting rid of. But he could have all sorts of things he could do for you. He could go rob a. He could have some of his toughies go burn down a rival's magic lab, or he could locate someone who has mithril for your magic hammer. If you're willing to build him on top of it a cute little Tarask paperweight that's made out of mithril. I mean, who knows what this crazy guy is going to want? He's a beholder. He could think anything. So, but this is basically how the system works. So maybe you invested 4 resources into that negotiation to try to locate that mithril. Maybe you had to. You're only down to 8 resources. Geez. That means that you only have enough 4 here to like research how to make that hammer. You spend 4 resources as a second rank to go locate the mithril, and then you invest the 9 ranks, the 9 resources into actually building the hammer. So that's 9, 8. That's 17 out of your 20. That leaves you 7 points of resources left over for you to affect the die roll, and when it really counts, affect the die roll. So you could be a 5th rank guild with 100 points of resources, and and you decide to invest only 1 point into performing a task, into an almost impossible task. Let's say your guild is Congress, and that guild is 5th rank. It's Congress. I'm in the United States. So let's talk about Senate. Let's talk about Senate in the House. That is a guild. Let's say together they're a guild, or separately they could be 2 independent guilds. It just depends on how the DM wants to portray them. But they are a 5th rank. Let's say there's one. Let's say the Senate and Congress are different. So let's look at here's Congress and here's Senate, right? And they're going to do 10 by 10. They're 5th rank. And Senate is 10 by 10, and they're 5th rank. And let's say the task at hand is, I don't know. Let's pass universal health care for everybody in America. That is a 5th rank task to do something so amazing for our people. So it's going to require 5 by 5. It's going to take 25 resources to do it. Well, Congress has 100, but the 25 resources they invest in protecting the military complex, after giving 16 points of resources to tech. They had to ward off being forced to get rid of being able to purchase stocks individually. They're going to put 25 points into that effort. You can see where this is going, right? They're taking care of their top priorities first, and they're dumping as many resources as they can into it to make sure they achieve what they want to achieve. And as they start getting through things like pay off a rich donor that wants to have a creche in Texas downtown, they're going to put 9 resources into that. That's 25, 50, 66. That's now 75 resources that they've spent out of their 100. They need to take care of their own base, like say they're from California, and they want to make sure that they're giving their constituents some lip service. So they're going to put in 9 resources into doing an ad campaign to, get out the vote and go team. So now they're up to 84 resources spent. And let's say, they want to invest money into, say, fossil fuels. Let's fight fossil fuels. So they're going to throw 4. Let's make it a big effort. It was something they promised they'd do. So they're going to put 9 points into fighting fossil fuels. So that's 93 points they've spent. And now it comes down to let's maybe they got a number of pet projects that they're doing, like, I don't know, protecting voters' rights, protecting let's say getting Republicans off of Twitter. Maybe they're putting 4 points of that in there. They get down and they only got 2 points of resources left. They are going to invest 1 point of resource into universal health for everybody. That is a first-ranked task. We know from my previous rant sheet here that a first-ranked task was a D4 plus D4 plus 1. You got to be kidding me. So they're going to invest 1 point of resource into a 5th-ranked task. This is how much they're supposed to put into it. This is how much they decide to instead. So this is going to have a DC 25. They're going to have a 1d4 plus 1 on their die roll. So they're going to roll a 20-sided die. So it's going to be a d20 plus 1d4 plus 1 to roll a 25. So technically, they can tell you, yeah, we're fighting for universal health care. Look, we've invested time and resources into the universal health care. They spent 1 point in resources into this health care, but they spent 25 resources into a PR campaign to make it look like they actually care about what you're trying to do. They could have spent all these resources on actually getting you health care, rolling a 1d12 plus 5 on the die roll to hit a DC 25. But no. They put d12 plus 5 resources into their PR campaign and instead only invested 1 point of resources to doing something they really don't want to do. So you could do the same. Like, if you really don't want to build an iron golem, but someone's saying, hey, I want to build an iron golem, great. You can take their 40,000 gold pieces, invest 1 point of resources into it, completely blow the die roll, and just say, hey, building this iron golem takes time. If I can roll a high enough influence check for you to buy my PR, then you're willing to allow me to take that extra time to invest an extra 10,000 gold into getting the resources we supposedly need to make sure we finish this iron golem for you. You could do that sort of, if that's the kind of intrigue and political campaign you want, you could have someone go in and let's perform some espionage to infiltrate their base for you to gather intelligence to be able to prove that they're lying about how many resources they're investing to build that iron golem. You could then share that with the necromancer or whatever that's investing in having an iron golem made, and now that patron is very angry. Maybe you hate this guild. Maybe you've been trying to find a way to knock down their influence in the community that you grew up in because they keep polluting your river and no one's holding them accountable. Well, if you can start disarming them of all their patrons that are paying them money, suddenly they're going to have to start investing a lot of money into maintaining the lifestyle that they love so much. They're not just getting the gold automatically from their patron like they want to. Now they actually have to make die rolls to figure out how difficult. Oh my God, I've got to waste all these resources on maintaining my aristocratic lifestyle. This sucks. This is the kind of fun stuff that you can do. So, having said all that, again, it's when you build a guild, you can choose how do you want to invest your resources into getting things done that you want to prioritize. And you can spend as much time or as little of this in your campaign as you want. But from a DM's perspective, you know that, hey, my players are asking some crazy crap question about what kind of something might be in town. I don't know. Roll a check, roll a d20, and then you'll just have a static, like a d. You'll just take 10 on it, so it'll be a plus 11 die roll in Waterdeep that they'll have something. And if they roll a die roll, if it's a plus 7, as long as they roll a 15 or above, you can pretty much guarantee that, yeah, that crazy idea, it's a crazy one, so you're going to make a 5th rank task. But let's say it's super easy. It's like, yeah, it's highly likely that Waterdeep is going to have a tavern. So all you have to do is roll a d20, and there is no critical failures in this system. You don't crit fail. So if you are in a 5th rank community and you're just taking 10 on it, which is automatically going to give you, oh no, it's a 12, so it's a plus 9. It's a plus 11 to your die roll. It's guaranteed you're going to find a tavern in Waterdeep. You only have to roll a 2 or above to find something pretty exotic. What's an example of something that's pretty exotic? Let's go look at Balduran's Guide, because this is built to work with Balduran's Guide. Here's a slew of stuff of different buildings that are detailed in Balduran's Guide. If you were to make a bank, which is a type of structure that you could have in Waterdeep, if you flip open, I think it's like page 105 of Balduran's Guide to Kingdom Building, if you build a bank, it gives you specific things that you can do, like I think it's like finding additional gold resources, or I don't remember specifically, but there's like 120 different structures you can build in a town, and Balduran's Guide gives you incredible deep detail about that process. But we're doing something quicker and simple. So let's say your heroes roll into town and they want to make a poison. They want to make an exotic poison. And for them to be able to do that, they need to have access to exotic plants. Or, what if they wanted to make that iron golem? Golem works. That's a 4th rank. Isn't that amazing? It's a 4th rank structure, according to Balduran's Guide, to make an iron golem. So what's the likelihood of Waterdeep having a golem works that could build you an iron golem? Well, it's a 16. So if you just take 10 on it with a plus 11, if your character rolls a 5 or above on a 20-sided die, bam, you found an iron golem. Good job. So I mean, this is the utility of the system. So hopefully I've ranted enough. If you're catching this in after it's gone live, if you're interested in this, or if you have any questions, please just drop comments below. I'm happy to do this. But it's like these systems. I'm trying to provide all these options because it all uses the same scaling system. And as you go through these different things, you'll see how all these work. So right now, I am literally in the process of building out networking. And it is 7:30 now. Time for me to take a drink of water. Man, that's good. So we're building resources here. So, or these are different downtime activities. I call them tasks. These are tasks that guilds, that characters and NPCs can perform. But let's see, maintain a lifestyle, foraging, networking. This is where we're at right now. Okay, so let's see. Default industries. There's different industries. If you were to, this is laid out in Balderon's guide. Balderon's guide has 6 industries, kind of like character stats. Your community has stats. There's commerce, there's health, there's lore, there's loyalty, military, and religion. Balderon's guide, you should check it out on DMsGuild. It is, I believe it's a platinum bestseller right now. It's a great book. I love it. So I love it so much that I asked Adam to edit this book when it's done. So you'll be able to bundle them together and get them both at a discount. Ain't that great? But these are all the different buildings that he built. And you can see that like first rank, like a settlement is first rank. And then you can, industry, road, group, revise those. There we go. You can go into, when you're a first rank community, you can build like some very basic things, like a hunting lodge, a well. You can dig a well. Big job, good job. A farm. You can have a bunch of farms. But as your community grows into a village, and then a town, and then a city, and into a metropolis, you do more and more complicated things. Like a settlement might have a general store, basically a trading post to stop at. But then you can evolve into, like having a carpenter and a farmer's market, and you can have up to 1,000 people in a village. This is pretty reasonable. Town's got 6,000 people or less. You can then have like a furrier shop or glassworks, even a harbor, a sawmill, a warehouse to store all the merchant goods that are coming in, or a windmill to improve the productivity of your community, gathering resources from farms. That's so each industry, instead of investing your resources into individual tasks like this, you can instead invest resources into an industry. So any task that belongs to the same industry is going to be able to use the same bonus. So let's say you invest into health. That's a foraging task. You can see things like farm collectives, bakeries, barber shops, a larder, a smokehouse, apothecary, bathhouse, a dam, a fishery, a park, a hospital, sewers. These are the kind of health infrastructure that you can expect to see in a community once you start getting to the side of Valderon's or Rome. These are the kind of things that you see there. So you can invest your guild's resources into, say, health. And so you can then perform any 4th rank task in the health industry. So let's look at the health industry. Foraging, that's a health thing. Maintaining a lifestyle, that's health. Do we have anything else here that's specifically health? I don't honestly think there is. Like crafting magic items could be lore or religion. Like it could be either wizardry and artificers, or if it's a religious item, it could be a religion industry, like druid stuff or whatever. But like crafting items is like, it's just non-magic items is like commerce. So if you're talking about if you're talking about a blacksmith who wants to make a hammer, you could invest 16 points of resources into the commerce industry. So in the commerce industry, you could be crafting exotic items, but you could also go down to networking. Let's go down to networking. Networking is... that's loyalty. Neat. There's variants. Like if you're trying to collect resources, you could use your commerce resources to invest in a commerce task. Instead of just loyalty, you could invest in accessing materials as a commerce rank. We're talking about that in the book here. So recruiting allies might be loyalty. The DM has discretion about what industry you want to have it allocated to. They all have defaults, but then as you dive into specifics, you're like, well, yeah, it makes sense that if you like, it's kind of like if you're going to, if you're having an argument with somebody, if your character's having an argument with somebody and you're trying to gain information, say you want to use your strength and intimidation instead of your charisma, the DM can allow you to do that. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Why don't you go ahead and do that? So same thing with guilds and resources is it might default to being a loyalty check, but if you instead want to allocate resources from commerce to try to build a commerce connection for your crafting check, the DM may determine, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But if it's the wrong industry, it's like, it doesn't make any sense that health is going to make an iron golem. I can't see that logically. I'll give it to you, but it's going to be at disadvantage. Well, there you go. So that's how it works. So right now, today, we're spending our time, and I've got I don't know how much time I'm going to last, but right now we're trying to build these this networking. There's this list of ideas that I have down here for things that we can do, and I'm just going to pick through them and see what comes to mind, because I have a development meeting this Saturday with Ukulele Bard, and one of the things that I need to get done for this week is to make sure that I already have all these tasks done. I want to finish networking, and I want to finish espionage. So those are the two things I'm working on right now. And today my gut says to work on networking. So we got maintaining a lifestyle. Foraging is a type of lifestyle. It's a horrible lifestyle, but it works. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna rifle through this for a bit, and hopefully you're enjoying the ride. Be welcome to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my books. They're always 100% preview, so you can read the book cover to cover. If you like it, I'd love that you pick it up. Grab whatever you like. Come back for more later. This is more. So networking, default industry, loyalty. This isn't even first draft. This is just ideation. This is just me throwing ideas together. So networking is similar to espionage as a social challenge, but instead of obtaining intelligence covertly, networking affects opinions and actions of those you can influence and gains access to new resources and information from those willing to share it. Accessing material, a coppersmith may need ingots of higher quality than the local smelter can provide. An airship manufacturer may have a growing demand for sorewood. A wizard may need a steady supply of pearls to perform certain spells and rituals. When crafting items, both magical and non, the DM can determine the materials needed. Can determine the materials needed. The materials, that's what I'm trying to say. The materials that need to be located before crafting can begin. The following table provides, and we're looking at accessing materials. Commerce. Commerce, comma. Yeah, commerce feels right there. The following table provides the difficulty of securing the difficulty provides the DC to secure the needed materials based on the rank of crafting attempted, and we know crafting is above. If the community searched has resources delegated to an industry related to the resource needed, the roll is made with advantage. So we're accessing materials, which and it's a crafting check, right? So crafting is commerce. And so if we go to, say, Waterdeep, that has resources allocated to commerce, it has smithy shops and it has banks and all that other good stuff. So it has resources. The roll is made with advantage. So the bigger community you go to, the more likely it can afford to invest resources in all 6 communities, so that people want to go there, so they can gain advantage on the die roll. You can go to Orc Valley and walk up to the chief and say, hey, you got like 50 orcs here. Any chance you guys got some mithril? They'll cut your head off. You're gonna fail that roll. You're gonna fail that roll miserably. When we finish with the project, it might not be advantage. It could be that if you don't have resources invested, then the roll is going to be at disadvantage to make the check, not advantage. Right now we're playing with making it easier for you to succeed your task, because D&D isn't paper, isn't pencils and paper clips. It's Dungeons and Dragons. So unless your campaign wants to deep dive into gathering resources, it could be fun for you to have a mission where you need to successfully negotiate terms of releasing hostages, and if it goes wrong, then you get to kill everybody. Maybe the guy over there in the corner with too many dice is hoping that you guys botch your roll and doesn't want to invest a lot of resources in succeeding. There could be means within means there. But if the DM wants to be able to quickly throw together a community, he can say, okay, you're going into this small town. I'm going to roll a d6. That's what that town's going to be focused on. It rolled up 2. It's going to be health. This is a health-focused town. Oh, it's a farming and fishing community. How great. The chances of you finding a glassblower here are pretty bad. You're not going to find a glassblower here. But you can find nets. You can find boats. You can find crops. A bountiful harvest. Probably lots of kids running around. It's like there's resources here that you could gather. So that's the idea. So the following table provides the DC to secure the needed resources based on the rank of crafting attempted. If the community searched has resources delegated to an industry related to the resources needed, the roll is made with advantage. So when you go into the town, you'll be able to take a short rest to get a good feel for the place. So then it's like, yeah, this feels like a commerce town. I bet I can at least maybe find a lead on Mithril. And then they can at least point you in the right direction. If the roll succeeds, you learn of a source that can provide the materials you need. The source can be located in the community you inquired at, or the community simply has connections to the source, but it's located elsewhere. Generally, a community with access to the materials needed will be the same rank as the task that requires the resources. So if you're looking to make that magic hammer out of mithril, that's a 4th rank task. Generally, if you go to a 4th rank community like a city or a metropolis, then chances are it's like, yeah. Alan on Baker Street, he knows how to get mithril for you, and he can probably get it to you pretty quick. Great. Let's go check out Alan. Well, Alan, his friend Jerry is over right now, and Jerry says, hey, we can't help you with that mithril resource because orcs took over our mithril mine. Now you go to the orcs that took over the mithril mine. You either kill them all for Jerry, or hey, there's like 250 of you guys, and you have a mine resource. What if we sacrificed this? What if we go raid this goblin cave? Gather them all up and help you sacrifice them all to Grumpsh. And while we're at it, we're going to give you a truckload of 2-hand swords. And we're going to give you some scale mail armor. And we're going to turn the other way when you start attacking the supply caravan that's coming from the city nearby that is actually enemies to our nation. How about we equip you with all that stuff and you let us give us access to this mine? And they're like, yeah, sounds great. You give them a bunch of swords. You turn a blind eye when they start attacking the caravans in the community that you hate. You clean out the goblin den. Tell you what, I know that we said we were going to sacrifice all these guys to Grumpsh too, but how about we do this instead? How about we sacrifice half of them, and we then have the goblins that we don't kill after they watch, we have them go mine the mithril. That way, it's a twofer. And they're like, hey, that sounds awesome. The orcs are involved. They're on board. Tell you what, you guys like beating up goblins. Why don't you keep an eye on them for us? I'm going to be back in a couple weeks with those swords. If you guys make good on your side and dig up a bunch of ore for us to get rid of these swords and then put the ore on instead, we'll walk away from here. And by the way, the next caravan is going to be in about 3 days. Your team has an opportunity to get in place to go attack them. So that's how that all worked out. That's something that my team would legitimately do. They would completely do that. So maybe they wouldn't sacrifice people in the process. That's some grimdark stuff, but we've seen them do things that with pirates, so that's something that could happen. You are more than welcome to have that kind of, but that's the kind of thing you can set up. And you have all these resources in place. It's just putting numbers to all the crazy crap ideas that players come up with. It's like, if you want to know how likely it is, have them roll a 20-sided die. And if it comes up a 10 and they're in a 5th ranked community, they're going to get an automatic, like say an automatic plus 11, because you're just going to take 10 on the D12. That's a 6, plus your 5 bonus for being 5th ranked. That's 11. They're going to be able to get pretty much anything that they want. All they had to roll is an 8 or above on a 20-sided die with that plus 11 bonus. You go to Waterdeep, you're going to be able to pretty much find anything that you want. And if for some reason you screw up that die roll, it just means that you haven't found them yet. You're just going to have to try something. Again, if you fail the die roll, you get a lead. And the DM can use that lead to lead you into further adventure. So that's how that works. So, having said all that, guilds gaining renown. This is one of the subsections. What am I looking at here? Oh, this was something I was doing. Guilds gaining renown. The amount of resources you invest in networking determines the bonus you gain when making networking checks. We knew that from our previous conversation. Hey, excuse me for a second. Right, so guilds gaining renown. Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica does a deep dive into how renown can affect your characters and NPCs in the campaign. But guilds can gain renown too. You better bet that that Boros has a lot of renown when they're in a conversation with Azorius. Boros and Azorius are thick as thieves. That's an ironic statement, but it's true. Azorius and Boros are in charge of protection in Ravnica, so they work together a lot. They have a lot of renown and influence over each other. So the amount of resources you invest in networking determines the bonus you gain when making networking checks. If you're going to invest 16 resources into networking, then you're going to roll a D10 plus 4 on your influence checks that you're making with the Azorius. So, and that's you're going to be able to get the Azorius to help you with a lot of stuff. It's where are we at? Foraging here, networking, reconnaissance, accessing materials. Right. So this could be, instead of accessing materials and specialists, for example. Like specialists can use the same the same die rolls as materials. If you need an exotic material, great. Maybe you need a mithril smith that knows how to work, or you need a mithril smelter out of Misty Mountain because they're skilled. Those dwarves, they're skilled with it. The only people that are 4th rank and higher in the region that can smelt that kind of like adamantine or mithril, the only ones we know about are dwarves. In fact, the dwarves could actively sabotage other communities that can smelt that level, but maybe they have some whisper gnomes that they send in to disable their forges and their smelts so that they can't. Now you got to go to the dwarves. Now they're creating a hostile monopoly, and then the human nation is now wanting to go at war with the dwarves because the dwarves keep screwing up their mithril operations. This is geopolitics in a nutshell. Yeah. So what we're doing here, we are in the process. Okay, great. Let's see. The amount of resources you invest in networking determines the bonus you gain when making networking checks, like we discussed, and grants 1 point of influence for each rank of resources invested. Ooh. So you can invest ranks over time to gain higher renown. Doesn't look, have I finished this? Yeah. I'm going to guilds gaining renown. I'm going to drop this down. Oh, neat. This is loyalty. Recruiting allies. That's right, these are separate things. Loyalty. So I actually left off at building renown. So let's see. Everything in Balduran's guide is calibrated by the season. So every season you can reinvest your resources to perform new tasks over the course of the following season. So let's see the amount of resources you invest. Let's see. Renown. Let's see. I have Renown. Let's get down. Let's get to it. 72. Reconnaissance. I'm looking for the renown list that I built for structures and resources. Gaining resources, guilds, NPCs, renown. Okay, so the DMG has gaining renown as a downtime task already, and the way that it reads is it takes a number of weeks equal to your renown to gain an additional point of renown. So if you don't have any renown, the default is, it starts with 1 week. So after you shill for a guild or an organization or an NPC for a week, you gain a point of renown. And then if you want to gain a second point of renown, you have to spend a second point. That one point of renown is 1 week, and when you complete that week, you now have 2 points of renown. If you then want to get the 3 points of renown, you have to spend 2 weeks. Your current renown times weeks equals the amount of time spent to gain the next point of renown. So if you have 24 points of renown already and you want a 25th point of renown, it takes you 24 weeks to do that. But if you don't have any renown at all and you're just starting this and you want to get to 25 points, it's going to take you 81 years to get that much renown. Just being basically the sorcerer's apprentice. You're going to have to be Mickey Mouse for 81 years like this to get that much renown. And we know from renown already, spellcasting means research. That means that we know the sorcerer isn't going to teach his secrets about being able to cast ninth level, let's say 8th levels. Let's say you want to know a 7th level spell. You're going to have to be 4th rank to know it. You can't afford it. So he's indentured you to be his apprentice until he feels it's appropriate. So as a 4th rank task to learn a 7th level spell from the sorcerer as Mickey Mouse, it's going to take you 82 years to do that. That's ridiculous. Tell you what, you were willing to do it for money, and guilds are made out of money, and guilds are resources. So let's go ahead and mill through this to see how fast a guild can accumulate resources, can expend resources to gain renown. Right? That's what we're trying to do here. So that is the task. So loyalty. That is where we left. That's where I left off on Tuesday when I did this last. When I was here at home and not on stream, because I don't stream on Tuesdays. But it's Thursday, so I'm streaming. It's 8:45. I got at least another 45 minutes here. So guilds gaining renown. Renown. Let's see. NPCs accumulate renown instead of resources. See, an NPC like a sage or something. A sage can't gain 64 points of resources. He'd be a guild. He'd have a massive industry that was bringing him resources for him to delegate tasks out to. So instead, for an NPC commoner to be able to be a legendary sage that knows everything, he has to gain renown in that lore industry for him to gain the reputation of being an amazing sage. So it took him 83 years to get to 4th rank as a sage, because he has 25 points in the lore industry now, and that's an individual. A character could invest, a first level character could invest 83 years or 82 years as a sage's assistant, as a sage's apprentice, to become a 4th rank a 4th rank sage himself, and now he's able to perform those checks with that D10 plus 4 die roll like a guild could, or you could just use his ability scores if they're better somehow. A player's probably going to want to use his ability scores. He's got the 20 in intelligence, and he's 17th level, so he's 6. So he gets a +6 proficiency bonus. That's already a +11 for a DC 25 task, and he wants to have his bard help him with inspiration. So he's rolling a D12 on the bard. Yeah, he's got it. He's gonna figure it out. He's gonna figure out what that answer is, right? But an NPC doesn't have all those advantages unless the character shows up and gives it to him, which is, that's an NPC making its die roll, and then the players dumping guidance and aid and bardic inspiration and the skill improvement spell. So, characters can always make a shoe shop make better shoes. This is just a way to do it. So the NPC gains renown, but a guild can gain renown too, and they gain that renown by spending resources over time in the community. So how does he spend those resources in the community? Let's see. Renown. So NPC. So let's see. The amount of resources you spent determines what the rank is. So there's 5 ranks. And the DC is going to be standard 13, 16, 19, 22, 25. Doesn't take anything too special to gain ranks. Let's see. How we want to do this? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when you gain 3 ranks, this is from Ravnica. Ravnica only has 4 tiers of renown. It goes from 3, 10, it jumps for some stupid reason to 25, and then 50. So whatever. That's crazy. So let's have a little bit more stepping stones here. 3, 10, I added 17, 25, and 50 remains. So once you accumulate 3 ranks, once you gain 3 renown, you are first rank, and then second rank is 10 renown. So once you have 10 renown, you're second rank. Once you have 17 renown, you're third rank. Once you have 25 renown, you're fourth rank. So I should actually do this probably differently. Let's go with renown, and then do rank that way. Renown is 3. And 10. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're not going to just... That's first rank. 3 renown is first rank. You're not just going to show up for a week and they're going to be like, yeah, sure, you're first rank now with 1 point. No, you're going to have to invest a little bit of time. Third rank's not that big of a... That's a month. After a month of being a sage's apprentice, you now know enough about researching that you can do easy tasks. So that's fair. 17 gets you third. 25 gets you fourth rank. And once you have 50 renown, you're fifth rank. That's the system as intended. That's currently how it actually works, right? Renown, rank. let's see. Guilds can gain ranks can gain renown. Oh, that's what I'm trying to say. Guilds can use renown instead of resources to network. Because you know people. Well, my heater's on. I'm going to turn that off. You know people in the industry. Your guild, your house Kenneth. You've been building stuff for millennia. You know a guy or two at this point. So you don't have to invest. Maybe you don't have to invest any resources in finding people. If you go to the right people. If you go to Canada, it's like, hey, do you guys know how to get mithril? They're like, yeah, we know a guy. They're not going to invest any resources in finding that answer. They're just going to use their renown. So they've got 5th rank in renown. They've got 50 some odd in the commerce industry for crafting items. They're 5th rank. They're going to get a D12 plus 5 on their die roll to see, do we know somebody possibly maybe this? Yeah, we know Carl. He's at Dwarven, he's at Moorhold. Here's a recommendation slip. Take it to him. Here's a recommendation. So there you go. So we're looking at renown. It takes 3 points of renown to gain 1st rank. DC doesn't really matter here. This is just a straightforward table of the amount of renown. So guilds can use renown instead of resources to network. The amount of renown a guild has in an industry determines the rank in which they can perform the networking task as shown below. Boop. Renown. Okay, so guilds gaining renown. Let's see, you got the resources here, accessing materials and specialists. Like if you're crafting something, having high renown in an industry isn't gonna get the job done. You can't make an iron golem just off renown. You actually need resources. So it looks like what we're developing is looks like we're again. I'm still developing this, and we're still in the ideation process of how NPCs, characters, and guilds interact. So it looks like right now we're looking at an idea that there's a difference between networking. Using renown versus using resources to achieve tasks. That is an interesting dichotomy. So I don't think I necessarily need to flesh that out right now, but I do want to keep that in my back pocket. That is something. So let's do that. Bold. We'll go using renown instead of resources. Cut that. Go back to here. Guilds and accumulating resources, investing resources. These are rules about investing in resources, gaining resources, remainders, investing in the roles. We talked about that. Guild renown. Using renown instead of resources. So we'll have to loop back around to here. And thankfully, I'm using Google Docs. I am going to right click and then make a comment. That comment is going to be 506. Let's talk about what tasks can use renown and what needs resources. Like a sage, like you might have a high rank sage, but if he doesn't have a library, that's a difference though. Because a sage only just needs to know stuff. You go to a sage because he knows stuff. But if he has to research it, then he has to have access to Candlekeep or another library that has the resources and just raw data that he can sift through to get the answer. If based on his own renown, he doesn't just automatically know the answer. This is how a DM can manipulate these rules. If you know a guy like a Sphinx, maybe like a fun note to make about Sphinxes is that they always are 5th rank as a sage. So there's always a chance that a Sphinx is going to know anything you put across him. Maybe a dragon is a 4th rank unless they're ancient. Then it'll just be the CR. Maybe it's just the CR of the Sphinx or the CR of the dragon to just know something, you know. So that's how this stuff can be manipulated. But it's all this whole chapter is just examples of how you can manipulate stuff like that. Like we're building you some basic rules, so we're building you basic rules that you can then riff off of and just spontaneously use. They're all using the same resources, the same CR, the same difficulties checks, the same rank and task system. Someone could say, I want to make an item of Qualash. And that is a legendary magic item. Legendaries are 5th rank items. So you know that a 5th rank item, you're not going to have to perform the research to discover how to make an item of Qualash. And it's nearly impossible because it's 5th rank. Lore happens to have a DC 31 when it's 5th rank tasks. So it's going to take you like 60 days and 600 gold at Candlekeep to find information out about that. It's like you're just feeding the information into it. But let's say you want to do something completely different. What's a task we could make up? What is a task we can make up? Let's go with God, these tasks. I mean, networking and resources, crafting, espionage. They cover so much already. I'm honestly having a hard time finding what's a random gap that you can't already just blend all these other things together to do. Tell you what, if you're still here with me and you're enjoying this conversation, throw out an idea. Throw out an idea in the comments below. And assuming only maybe at most 1 or 2 people actually reply to this, but give me a random task that you think that PCs might want to know or do or hire somebody to do for them, and I will respond in the comments what cascade of tasks would need to be done, the rank of the task, the DC of that task. What would be needed to perform that? Like if it's like as a magic item, it'd be crafting, and then research, and then networking, and then the actual crafting. So that would be a cascade of tasks that need to be performed. And how long might it take you to do that? So go ahead and ask down below. And let's say you're looking for the Rock of Brawl in Spelljammer space, and you literally have no idea where it is. So you're gonna start scouting for it. That's gonna be a nearly impossible task considering the size of the astral sea, diving down into crystal spheres. First, you got to pick the right sphere out of the astral sea, and then when you're in the sphere, you're gonna actually have to locate it. So that's a nearly impossible task. But you happen to be on a Wayfinder ship that is a third rank scout ship. So it's going to get a D8 plus 3 to its check before the players start rubbing their nose into it. But it's nearly impossible. So it's a DC 31 to find it. Oh my god. So 31, at best you're going to roll an 11. So you're going to have to roll a 20 on that check. Oh, that's you have to roll a 20 on a 20-sided die. That's really, really difficult. Maybe the characters want to narrow down their circumstances. So they use contact other plane to try to narrow it down. Hey, where's the Rock of Brawl located? Rock of Brawl is in realm space. It's like, well, that narrows it down. Maybe finding Rock of Brawl in realm space is going to be easier than finding it across the multiverse. You at least know what Crystal Spirit's in now. So it drops from being an impossible task to just very hard. And that's not going to be a DC 31. That's going to be a DC 25. And you have a plus 11. Maybe you have up to a plus 11 on the die roll. Chances are if you take 10, you're going to get a plus 7 because D8 plus 3 equals a raw die of plus 7. So, but if you rolled, if you happen to roll an 8 plus your 3, that's an 11. If you rolled an 8 and you would then only need to roll 8, 25, 17. You only have to roll a 17 on that die roll. Let's say you invest additional resources to, let's say you only roll a 17 and you need to roll a 25. You're 8 shy. So your characters can, maybe that scout ship has some extra resources laying around. Maybe your characters can pool their resources and invest time using Find the Path and additional augury spells and additional contact other planes to try to hem down, and you keep dropping the DC of it from 31 to 25 down to 19 down to 13 down to 7. That's right over there. So that's the way you can that's the way you can manipulate these things. So but I am in hard ramble right now, so going back, but I mean this is how the magic happens, right? Foraging for larger scale creatures, networking. So networking is similar to espionage as a social challenge, but instead of obtaining intelligence covertly, networking affects opinions and actions of those who you can influence and gain access to new resources and information from those willing to share it. Let's see. Accessing materials and specialists. That was one of the things that we built. We're now riffing on using guilds using Renown. We already know. Yeah, that's what we're building out right now. So let's see. What was the table on here about communities and kingdoms, remainders. Guild accumulates renown each season and invests in an industry. It can do so for multiple industries each season, as long as one or more point is invested in a season. This counts towards renown. Do I want to do it that way? Because you've got, so what happens, so I can invest 1 point, or see, I don't like how this is built right now. You can invest 1 point, or you can invest 25 points. Either way, it's still going to be a season. Oh, but you have to invest the resources into it. If you're investing resources into the commerce industry, you're crafting stuff and you're gathering resources to craft more stuff. So you're automatically dumping resources into an industry each season. It's just, how long have you been doing it? So that does make sense, but maybe you don't want to spend 280 years getting to a 5th rank as a guild. I mean, if you're Nordstrom's, if you're Kenneth and you've been doing it for 700 years, then yeah, you're there. You've got that renown. Congratulations. You're a powerhouse. But maybe you're an upstart and you don't plan on playing this game for 200 years. Maybe you want to build renown quicker than that. You got to dump resources into it. How could we sensibly dump resources to accumulate renown faster by investing those resources into it? Season. That's a long time. Maybe you can gain a number of points per season equal to the rank you invest. specifically in gaining renown, not just the industry in general, but I am specifically spending 25 resources to make a 5th rank task for me to invest in gaining renown fast. So that's going to be 5 per season. It would only take you 10 seasons. That's 2.5 years for you to go from nobody to 5th rank. I mean, you'd have to have 25 resources to do it, so you have to be gaining ranks in the first place, and you're gaining some renown while you do it, so you'd be able to hem that down a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's see. To gain renown. As a specific task, yeah, now we're looking at specific versus industry. Because we do have a couple specific tasks. Maintaining a lifestyle is a specific task. Accumulating an additional point of resources is a specific task. Those aren't industry tasks. Those are specific tasks. Yeah, and renown. That's a specific task as well. So let's go down here. Look at Ichiban. So there's industry, tasks, specific tasks. Like crafting, networking, espionage, lore delving, stuff like that. Research is what I'm trying to use here. Research, spellcasting, and then there's specific tasks, which is maintaining lifestyle, which is lifestyle, gaining resources, and now gaining renown. Because if you got see the thing about NPCs, individuals, characters, and NPCs, they can only perform one task at a time, while a guild can perform as many tasks as they devote resources towards various tasks. So, and it's not even like you can only make 4 magic swords. You can only make 4 swords right now. It's a matter of how much gold are you investing. So if you're investing 5 ranks of resources into crafting, you can craft 270 gold per day. That is 270 divided by 7. That's like 38 swords. If like House Kenneth turns on the forges, then we're making swords today. Then this one smithy, this 5th rank smithy they're working here, it can crack out 38 swords per day among all their blacksmiths. And if Kenneth has 40 forges across Thrain, they can punch out 100 swords a day. You just gotta go then caravan them all together, and now we're talking about the orcs that are attacking that caravan that's trying to transport all those weapons from Thronehold to Sharn. They're going to get ambushed, and all those swords are going to disappear. That could technically be sabotage, which a DM could resolve with a single die roll. Or like if your guild's like, I'm going to send some saboteurs to knock out that guild because I'm really focusing right now on making this magic hammer. You send out a squad, and they go do the sabotage thing. You sent out a 2nd rank squad. They're outmatched. They're going to have to roll like 16 or above. They failed. Well, you just lost your squad. Now you got to go recruit more. Like you can spend as much time on downtime activities using this system as you want. So, but I'm happy with this. I'm happy that we're defining the difference between specific tasks and in industry tasks. So that feels pretty good to me. Yeah, so let's go back up here to look at how we're building this. This is how we make the sausage here in ideation and development land. So spending resources to gain renown. Let's see. I'm going to do a quick check here. Yep, looks like I'm still alive. Good for me. Go back here. Guild Renown. Spending resources to gain renown. Let's see. As a specific task, delegated to accumulating as a specific task. I want to write this. Instead, I want to say you, a guild, can delegate resources specifically to gaining renown. This isn't let's see, for each rank of renown, for each rank of resources delegated to gaining renown, you gain 1 point each season. Rank equals renown. Rank, resources, zone, renown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. I bet I can just go with res. This is obviously not the final product. We are just doing ideation here, but this is the thought process that goes into it. Zone is a 1 by 1. Zone is a 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5. Renown is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, going here. So this is your guild, and you want to involve. Not bad. Good job, Kearney. You want to invest 1 point specifically in gaining renown. You could do that, or you would gain 1 point of renown. So it's kind of pointless that you would do that. If you're only going to invest 1 resource into a task, that's a first rank. So there's literally no difference between you saying, I'm going to invest this point specifically in the commerce industry to do commerce stuff, versus I'm going to invest this point specifically in gaining a point of renown in the commerce industry. It's the same thing. But if you're instead, it's like, I'm going to invest 4 resources as a 2 by 2 in the commerce industry, that's going to give me 1 point of renown. But if instead I'm going to invest these 4 resources specifically into gaining renown, that'll yield 2 this season instead of 1. So if I had 5 renown already at the end of the season, I'll have 6 instead of 5. Or if I invest this many, I would have 7. So I'm collapsing time frames. That's the thought process behind that. I'm pretty happy with that. That's slick. So let's see. So let's say 50 seasons. 25 seasons. 50 divided by 3. But 17 seasons. Thank you. And let's see, for Renown, that's going to be 13 seasons and 10 seasons. 2.5 year. It's what? 50 seasons time divided by 4 is 12.5 years. 25 seasons is 6.25 years. 17 is 4.25 years. 13 seasons is 3.25 years. So you could, I mean, assuming you have the resources available, you can go from 0 to hero in 2.5 years. But otherwise, you could accumulate somewhere between 2.5 to 12.5 years, depending on how you build. So that's the quick skinny there. So that's cool. Using Renown instead of resources, that's worth discussing. But cool, that block is good. And so let's go down here. Accessing materials, specialists, networking. Guilds using Renown. We don't need to worry about that anymore, so we can just bloop, resolve that. NPCs accumulate Renown instead of resources. NPC can gain Renown. Let's see. Rank, Renown, seasons. Oh, yeah. I just cut and paste that for... So, okay, I don't actually need this down here. Because we resolved it up there. Recruiting allies, which is a loyalty task. So what is it? It's 8:22. Got a little bit more time. I need a bio break. Oh my god, I've been drinking too much water. Sorry. BRB. I'll see you in a minute. After these messages, we'll be right back. Hey, we're back. Boop, 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 boop. Cool. Let's drink some more water so we can do that again. I tell you what, when you are intermittently fasting, salt and water is a powerful ally. The salt qualms the tongue, the water qualms the belly. So I was up to 311 pounds a few years ago. And then a year later I got down to 198 pounds through using fasting. And then COVID hit and my lifestyle changed and I climbed up over 2 years back to 248, and now I'm 2 months back into fasting, and I just do intermittent fasting. Like I skip eating like Monday and or Thursday, and then I have like a 6-hour window the rest of the week to eat lunch and dinner or breakfast and lunch, either or, depending on what me and my gal are doing. And so I've dropped from 148 back down to I was up to 248. 248, and I am back down to 231 today. So it's been 2 months, and I've dropped 17 pounds. That is a pretty casual pace. I was losing 20 pounds a month the first time I did this, because I only ate 5 days a week. Like, I'd eat on Saturday and Sunday, and then I'd skip the rest of the week. So I'd eat with my gal on Saturday and Sunday, and the rest of the week I would turn into a reptile. It was like all just it's very feral. It had its good and it had its bad. But so yeah, intermittent fasting. I'm back into that. I'm losing weight pretty good. My birthday's on the 20th. I'll probably be around 225 by then. That's still a few weeks away. I can lose a pound every 3 or 4 days by just constricting my calorie intake to less than 1,000 calories in a 6-hour window. Typically, a lot of times I'll have like an apple at 3 o'clock, so that I'm not a lizard, a heartless lizard monster when I catch up with my gal. And then we have dinner together, and that gets me anywhere from 0.25 to a half a pound a day, depending on how much exercise I did. So pretty cool. Anyway, that's a tangent. That's why I'm yammering so hard and drinking so much water. It keeps my mind off of the diet. So my camera feels offline. I'm sorry. I've been falling off the edge of the map this entire time. Here's my monitor. Okay, cool. Okay, accessing materials, recruiting allies. You can locate and route. Okay, so the in-command system, the combat system, you start off at the 5-foot square, where each square equals 1 guy. At the 50-foot scale, it's 100. At the 500-foot scale, it's 1,000. At the 1 mile scale, it's 10,000. So if you're working on each square equals a mile on an overland map, you can effectively have 5e combat like you would in a dungeon, except that it's scaling miles. So like Baldur's Gate, like in Avernus, Baldur's Gate may be a 2x2 space on a grid of 1 square per mile, because it's a 2 mile by 2 mile city, and then its sprawling area might be 16 by 16 or even 50 by 50, depending on how far away resources come in to feed the central core. And then Avernus, and Avernus is a fifth rank plane, right? So Avernus is a 5th rank plane, and it opens a portal to hell, and it opens it in Baldur's Gate. And so the plane can support creatures of a CR up to or less than its rank. So Avernus is a 5th rank hellscape, which means it has access to 5th rank creatures like pit fiends and I can't believe I forgot the other. There's pit fiends, which are devils, and then demons have the Tanari devils. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking that. 2nd edition is completely failing me right now. Anyway, they had those things. The equivalent of pit fiends. It's man, I can't believe I'm blanking. Anyway, screw it. Anyway, they're 5th rank. They're like CR 20, so they're 5th rank. So they can come at you through that gate if you really wanted to. But after I get done with Horde of the Dragon Queen, I'll be flipping over to Avernus, because I already know that Azariel's Flying Citadel fits in a 500-foot square, which means that you can basically tackle 1,000 creatures on a side. And it sucks up hundreds of souls. So it actually calibrates pretty well. So that's a lot of fun. That's going to be easy to convert. I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, so recruiting allies, back on point. You can locate and rally NPCs to assist you by forming an an army, freeing slave labor to then work for you at a modest lifestyle, or hiring mercenaries and labor guilds to provide the bodies needed for the scale of tasks performed. The scale of allies you can recruit is limited by the size of the community. As detailed below in the kingdom section, there are 5. Let's see, by the size of the community. We already know. So the kingdom section breaks settlement. It's a settlement where it's like a building, and then it's a village which has less than 1,000 people in it, less than 1,000 residents. A town has less than 6,000. A city has less than 25,000, and a metropolis has 25,000 or more. I have no idea where the where WotC got those numbers from. It's a mystery, so I could recalibrate them to do differently, but Balderon's Guide uses the same numbers, and since this can be used with Balderon's Guide, I'm going to keep those same numbers. You could argue for different numbers, but it really honestly doesn't matter. Who cares? So it's all good. So given that there are a handful of people in a settlement, and less than 1,000 people in a village, and up to 6,000 people in a town, and up to 25,000 people in a city, and more than 25,000 people in a metropolis. When you're trying to raise an army, it's a matter of the community, rank, and size determines how many recruits you can have. So I just have here A, B, C, D, E. This is slop. A, B, C, D, E. A equals 1, B equals times 10, C equals times 100, D equals times 1,000, and then metropolis is times 10,000. Do you notice the pattern there? You've got, at the 5-foot scale, you can command troops 1 troop per square. At the 50-foot scale, you can command 100 troops per square. At the 500-foot scale, you can command 1,000 troops per square. And then at the 1 mile scale, you can command 10,000 troops per square. You could go to 10 miles and do 100,000 troops. You could go to 100 miles and have a million troops. You can keep scaling if you want. There's technically no limit you can go. And when we're talking about the multiverse and the Blood War, 100 miles with a million troops apiece, that stuff starts to make sense. So anyway, having said that, so the amount of allies that you can rally, there's the DC for the rank, and if you can hit, like for example, if you go to Waterdeep, and you are investing 3 ranks or have a DC 19 to recruit, you can recruit D8 times C, which is 100. So if you go to Waterdeep and you roll a 19 or if you roll a 19, you can get up to 800 people to follow you. If you were to roll a 25, you can get D4 times 10,000. Now keep in mind, Waterdeep has a population of 2 million people. So you being able to recruit 10,000 people to pay them to go fight in this war of yours, you can find 10,000 people. That's like 0.05% of the population of Waterdeep. That's like 0.05%. That's tiny. So you can find that amount of people if the price is right. And then you would have to, you'd be negotiating with them to determine what the price point's supposed to be if you wanted to, or they can just set it at, I don't know, maybe offer 10 gold a day to do it. It's like, oh my God, and what peasant wouldn't do that? Well, a peasant that's really afraid of dying. But anybody that's any kind of mercenary, it's like, you want me to do what? Okay. First rank character? That's a great first tier campaign. Sure, I'll join your army. Look, I'm a hero. I'm now 4th level. I can start commanding my army. I'm a second rank commander now, and you're going to give me a squad to take on this next leg to go punch my enemy in the face. This is awesome. This is how in command works. So when you lose troops, you go to the community and you try to recruit more. Troops either die or they run away. It just depends on the DM and the players. Your session 0 about how much violence there is in your war and how much people have the opportunity to surrender or get away. Like, you could lose troops, they could surrender. Now you have to go rescue them, or you could lose troops by them losing morale and running away, and they didn't actually die at all. And now you have to go back and you have to recruit them again, rally them, give them courage. Probably a higher, maybe you have to pay them 15 gold a day now. It's like, look at all those people that died. I need at least 20 gold a day to do this. Like, well, okay, that's what we'll do. Like, this is an easy way for you to sort that out. Let's say you go to Greenest. Greenest is a village. You can get B. Greenest has 400 people in it, and so that probably means around. That probably means like there's 100 buildings. Let's go look at it again. So here's Greenest, and I counted this out. So I know there's 100 buildings on this map, and so if at most each building has a couple, a paired partner, and they got kids. Typically there's 2.5 kids per household, and this household has 2 adults in it. So you've got 200 adults, and then you got 2.5 kids per household. That's an extra 250. There's probably about 450 people in this community. So we go back here and we want to recruit. We want to rally up troops to go fight for us. Chances are we're going to be able to roll what? Village is a B. So, ally rank. That's what it is. First rank allies, like 0 level or peasants. Second rank ally, CR above 1. Third rank allies, 4th rank allies, 5th rank allies. Like, for you to get an arch wizard to help you in your battle, you're gonna have to roll a DC 25, and you're gonna have to be in a city to do it, unless you can find him specifically. But generally, like you've got the Council of Waterdeep. They've got some powerful wizards on it. Maybe you could recruit Xanathar to come help you and disintegrate a bunch of people in this war. It's unlikely, but maybe you could. 25. There you go. But in Greenest, you're working on a scale of 4 common guards, CR 1/4 guards, which is what you get provided in Greenest in the chapter. You're going to be able to recruit D6 times 10 of those. And it just so happens that Greenest has 40 guards in the fortress for you to work with. So these numbers line up. Surely there would be an extra 20 out of the civilian, the peasants or the villagers that are running around. Surely you could find maybe an extra 20 of them that are willing to go to arms with you to defend their town. You could probably find more. But just using the map that we've already built here, it all pans out. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we got NPCs and guilds. Ooh, sowing rumors. Let's dev some sowing rumors. Okay, so sabotage in the espionage section above. Sabotage is when you deny a guild resources by either destroying it or stealing it or disabling it. It could be you convince all their workers to quit, or you destroy their smelt or their forge, or you steal all their ore. There's a number of different ways that you could suss out how you want to sabotage. But when you do, you disable a number of resources equal to the task that you're performing. So if you roll a DC 25, you could potentially disable 25 resources off of this guild, which would be shattering. That would be like an evil organization releasing a plague that ends up killing 25% of Congress. You know, so I mean, you know, oh, I may have just demonetized this. I'm so sad. let me go ahead and say this is a fictional work, that I'm just throwing out ideas. These aren't professional, these aren't political opinions at all. I'm not associated with any type of organizations, and I really do believe in love and peace overall. But this is D&D, and D&D can get violent. So let's say your council, you have 215 people in your Senate, and then like Rome Senate, and you release a plague on the town, which ends up killing off 25% of the senators. That's one hell of a sabotage. Now they have to go back and they have to elect a whole bunch of more senators. It's going to be a crazy election year there in Rome. But they would have to go in, and they would have to go back in and restock it. So maybe they're not getting the most politically connected people that are millionaires. Maybe the only people they have available are like crappy sophomore congressmen that have the opportunity to step up the plate. There's just not enough people willing to step in. Maybe an ultra billionaire instead would say, well, there's space here. I'm going to run for Congress, and since there's 25 spots open, I'm a shoo-in. It's like, what a great investment. The parallels are too embarrassing, but if you've stuck with me for this long, you probably love it. So drop me a link below if you love all these modern day analogies on how this guild task system actually operates. So having said that, weight deep is not a word. So let's go with water deep. Good. We are at 8:40. I've got until 9 o'clock. I've done a lot of yammering, not a lot of production. But it certainly helped me talk through the process. And we did figure out renown and specific tasks versus industry tasks. So that's actually really important. So we actually did make some good conceptual ideation today, even though we didn't put a lot of text on the board. But okay, so sowing rumors. Similar to espionage, similar to sabotage, above, rumors can destroy... Oh! Rumors can destroy renown! Nice. So, instead of disabling resources in a guild, you destroy their renown, which must be rebuilt. Oh my god! That is so devastating. Can you imagine a sage who spent 80 years accumulating knowledge and credibility in an industry, and you hit him with a feeble mind, and suddenly he can't remember anything anymore? That's a ninth. So feeble mind is a third level spell. A third level spell is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's a second rank source. So if you hit somebody with feeble mind, they're going to lose 4 ranks of renown during that time period, and you're going to completely. Yeah. Maybe if you hit him with feeble mind, maybe you would make him do like an ability check to search for lore instead of an industry check. But like, let's say instead you started sowing a rumor that the sage isn't actually getting answers himself. He has been subcontracting the work to some freshman researchers at Candlekeep, and that have been doing the research as a downtime activity on the side of earning their living there at the keep. So they're on the take on the side working, and this sage is outsourcing information, and he's charging you twice the rate that you would have been charged if you just went to Candlekeep and did it yourself. So or hired Candlekeep to do it for you with these freshman sages. So he's now lost 4 points of reputation in the industry, and so now his reputation has been damaged. It's going to take him potentially years to build that reputation back, because he's got 25 renown in the industry, and you just knocked him down to 21, and now he has to repair it. So maybe it's you can can repair Renown at the rate of 1 point per season. It may have taken you 83 years to gain the Renown, but for you to get your reputation back after losing those 4 points, maybe it only takes a year of you can repair Renown at the rate of 1 point per season as a dedicated task to repair Renown. You can continue. You can continue to gain Renown as a separate task. Gain plus repair. There. That's a quick scheme behind that. That's super easy to do. Rank. Renown. Oh my God! What if instead the amount of renown that's lost, it isn't equal to the rank of the task. It's not equal to the rank. It's instead you roll the die of that rank. So like a third rank rolls a D8. What if when you perform when you damage somebody's reputation with a third ranked task, you're rolling a D8 plus 3, and if you are successful in damaging their reputation that much, the D8 roll is the number of points of reputation that you're able to eliminate. How about that idea? And then you could run PR campaigns to protect your renown, which would be you would invest as a third ranked task D8 plus 3, and it would then be an opposed roll. So it would be your check versus an enemy, and it could be multiple people that are trying to damage your reputation. So can you have your reputation damaged multiple times, or is it maybe it's the highest die roll? That makes sense. So rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1d4, 1d6, 1d8, 1d10. This is so fun. See, we're just manipulating the numbers. We're just rearranging the numbers with the rank and the DC and the die roll. They're all just connected. So let's see. Restoring Renown. There we go. Bloop. So there's Renown. There. Okay, so let's see. There's task rank. Renown damage. Oh man. Okay. So Okay, so if you have a lot of renown, it's difficult to damage your reputation. You spend a long time or a lot of money gaining renown in your industry of choice. So for you to come along and like say Nike, for example. Nike still uses slave labor to manufacture shoes. Have they lost any reputation in the shoe industry? No, they haven't, because their renown in their commerce industry is so significant that it's going to take a little bit more than some slave labor, to some bad air about slave labor, to knock down their reputation. No, they can just spend a few points of resources to, I don't know, build an orphanage or some crap. And they're fine. They're fine. It's going to take almost, that doesn't assume you could damage it. But chances are, like, hey, they use slave labor. And everyone's like, well, of course they do. They're an American corporation. Of course they use slave labor. They're probably Americans. Oh, they're in another country? Well, who cares? There you go. It's nearly impossible for you to damage their reputation. So, hence a DC 31. Yeah, but a 5th rank guild needs, if you want to damage the reputation of something that's 5th rank, and that could be that sage that's taken forever to build his reputation. You're gonna have to roll a 31, or if he's 4th rank, probably a 25. Okay, that's fair. And if you do, so the right, so I have to decouple these. Because these things are doing okay. So like if it's a first, yeah, I need to decouple these things. So, how obnoxious. Attack, target. There, that's how we do. Much better organized. God, I love this stuff. This is so fun. I mean, maybe you don't geek out over geopolitics in your campaign, but I love politics and resource management. And like, why does this community do what it do? It's so fun. It is so fun. So I know this won't appeal to everybody, but I mean, Balderon's Guide sold over 1,000 copies. And those are people that want to geek out over the little fiddly bits of building a civilization. This is for guilds. This is for making a guild. So we'll use Xanathar as an example in this, and I think we might use Kenneth as an example, and I don't know, a mom and pop shop somewhere, whoever. Dragonlance will be published by now, so we could use that inn that Katie Bree is at. We can probably use that. But rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. But to the point I was making, damaging a rank 1, like you have, like me, I'm like a rank 1 YouTuber. And anyone could come along and just completely decimate my reputation online. It's just, I'm a nobody. I'm so nobody. Why would you even bother targeting me? But anybody with any kind of smear campaign skills of like 2nd or higher rank, I only have like 3 or 4 ranks of renown at best. I'm probably not even 3rd rank yet. I bet you I don't have 3 renown and I'm 1st rank. I'm probably not until I have at least 1,000 subscribers. you know. So there you go. But yeah, somebody that's like a disinformation expert, or somebody that wanted to come in and just destroy me. It's like third rank and could knock out D8 ranks of renown in one roll. Me with my 3 or 4 ranks, chances are I'm just going to be completely crushed. It's like you could just destroy me in a heartbeat. I'm not even worth the investment of your time in those resources to do it, unless you just hate me. And I don't blame you if you do. It's just I wish you had something more important to do. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. So like the algorithms, like the YouTube algorithms are a CR or a 4th rank bot, and its job is to scout for information it doesn't like. And when it locates it, it's going to do a roll against your subscriber channel base. And if it rolls, if its renown damage is higher than the amount of renown you currently have on your YouTube channel, then you're then you're demonetized until you restore all your rank. Oh my god, that's awesome. Oh my god, that's so great. That is so funny. Oh man, I love it. It's called sowing rumors, but it's really damaging reputation. Oh my god, this stuff is so cool. Drop down below if I'm not the only one that thinks this stuff is cool. Like just drop me a like, subscribe, check out my stuff. Definitely drop a comment about what rank you think YouTube bots are right now. Do you think they're 4th rank, or do you think they've ascended to 5th rank? I think like true AI would be 5th rank. You know, we're probably actually only like at 2nd or 3rd. We might be 2nd or 3rd rank AI. If you can pass the Turing test, chances are you're 3rd, maybe 4th rank. By the time machines are building machines and birthing new AIs from their dreams, that's some 5th rank shit right there. Chances are we're going to be in 4th rank in a couple of years. Isn't this stuff fun? I mean, doesn't this just make sense? You can just codify. Now that CR has a rank, and Renown has a rank, and character level has a rank, all 3 of those things use the same rank language, and Renown can be used by characters can gain Renown, NPCs can gain Renown, and guilds can gain Renown. So all of those have the same system meshing. Then it's just a matter of do you accumulate resources to gain power, like you're a guild or a kingdom, or are you accumulating renown as an NPC or a character? And your character's rank is your renown in this, like say you're a wizard, you're a 17th level wizard, you're 5th rank as just a character, you're automatically 5th rank. Spell research, it makes sense that you're 5th rank. Maybe sage lore research, it makes sense. Obviously, a spell casting, you're 5th rank. But what about crafting a magic hammer? Do you have proficiency in hammersmithing? If you do, you could very well have 0 ranks. You have 0. You're not even 1st rank. You're a no rank character. You have no renown. You have no aptitude or skills, and you have no resources to make magic hammers. But the dwarven cleric of the Forge of Moradin, he's a 17th level cleric, and so he's 5th rank, and it makes perfect sense that he would know how to make a magic mithril hammer, right? He could probably just ask his god to give him a block of mithril to make that hammer from. I'm going to use my miracle this week to have a block of mithril appear, and I am now going to forge that into a magic hammer of dwarven throwing. It's going to take me a year to make it, and by the time I'm done, I've got miracles open. I can be burning miracles each week while I'm making that magic hammer. I could reduce my time frame for making that hammer significantly, potentially down to, if it were to be granted, down to a single action. You put the hammer to the board and say, give me a hammer. And if you roll a 17% or less on your percentile dice, Morden grants you a hammer because you have divine intervention, which is ridiculous. But it exists. So that's a weird radical example. But maybe you roll like an 87. Maybe that knocks off 2 weeks. So a week from now, you perform your divine intervention task again, and you roll an 80, a 50. It's not the 17. You need to have it instantly available, but you're halfway there. So third rank task, maybe it knocks off another 40 days. So now you're down to only 260 days left to make the hammer. And every week, you're using divine intervention to expedite you creating your magic item. Sounds realistic to me. The wizard, he's using wish spells every week to drop his time frame. Makes sense to me. He's risking burning through his 33% and psychic damage and never being able to cast wish again. But maybe it's worth it to roll the dice like that. So, but that's something you can do. So where were we at? Sowing rumors. Right. We're looking at sowing rumors. So this is the attack rank, the rank in which you're performing this. If it's like a professional PR sniper, like a bard, like an evil bard that rents out his ability to destroy people's reputations, and he's a third rank bard, and so he can do D8 renown damage per performance. Like he has to spend a season, a whole tour, trashing somebody's reputation, and at the end of that performance season, he's knocked down his target's renown by D8. So he rolls the 8-sided die. First, he has to do. So let's say he's trying to defame the king, and he's the king is in admittedly a small kingdom. It's a third rank kingdom, so the DC to damage the king's reputation is 19. Let's say in his hometown he has advantage. And maybe it's the rank of the community that sets the DC for damaging the king's reputation. Like in a settlement, way like 200 miles away from the king, and he's never done anything for you. You don't even actually know if you're in who your king is. It's super easy for you, DC 7, for that third rank bard. Who rolls a D8. If it's a character bard, then at third rank, you'd be 9th level. It'd be a +4 to your die roll, plus your inspiration die is a D10, D8. So it'd be a D8 to the die roll, plus the D20, plus you've got expertise in sabotaging people's reputations. Probably a deception roll would make sense. It could be performance as well, or negotiation. You go with any one of them, but deception and performance are probably the best ones. Intimidation could work. However the DM and the player want to flavor it. You roll your D20. You get your inspiration die backing you up on it. You got your expertise doubling it, and you're in greenest. And you're like, oh yeah, Cormier is the worst. They've never done anything for you. Look, you're being attacked by these dragon cultists. Why is there no one here to protect you in your time of need? Shouldn't they have known that there was dragon cultists gathering on the border? Shouldn't scouts have come through and warned you? No. Well, how much are they really looking out for you? And you're now damaging their reputation in that community. It's only a DC die roll of 13. It's a third rank kingdom. Let's say Cormier is a third rank kingdom. We're still figuring out kingdoms, but yeah, let's say it's a third rank kingdom. So a third rank means it has a reputation of 17. You're going to come through and you're going to do D8 points of damage. You could potentially knock that down from a 17 down to a 10. You could reduce the effective renown rank of Cormier in greenest from third rank 17 renown down to 9 renown second rank. So it's now just going to be that much more difficult for the population of Greenest to believe that Cormier gives a damn about them. Maybe they'd be willing to extradite and become citizens of Am. If Am decided to come through and says, hey, you guys are getting the short end of the stick with this dragon cult thing, yeah, we'll put a garrison, we promise you, we'll put 100 soldiers here in garrison, and we'll collect taxes from other cities to garrison them for you, and they can help build your community when they're not under attack, but we'll be at the ready any moment that a dragon comes by. They'll come help you. Like, that's a cool little coup. Like, Am could steal Greenest from Cormier if they did that. And if they did, boy, would Cormier might not even notice. It's like, hey, when was the last time the Greenest paid taxes? It's like, I don't know. It's been a while. What happened to Greenest? It's like a year later and they come around. It's like, yeah, we got attacked by a dragon cult a while ago. And there's Am soldiers there. And as soon as Cormier shows up, it's like, hey, we're here to collect some taxes. What's going on? And they kill them. Am kills the Cormier tax collectors. They send a scout back to Am saying, hey, tax collector came by. We had to take care of them. We need you to back us up. And now 6,000 Am soldiers arrive in Greenest, while Cormier is sending scouts to find out what the hell is going on. And they find, oh my God, there's a whole army here of Am, and they're charging. They're going to attack the nearby cities. And if we can't defend those cities, we're going to lose the nearby communities too. At some point, we have to stop them. And when we do, we might just have to give up Greenest anyway, because it's going to eat so many resources and so many troops defending these stupid little towns on the border. It might not actually even be worth it. Are we just going to give up Greenest without a fight? Or maybe there's allies. Maybe there's neighboring ally countries. Kalimshan maybe. Or maybe even just Waterdeep are willing to back us up and commit some troops to this. So maybe they're willing to send some. Maybe they're willing to send supplies. Like they'll equip them with like swords and a shield. Anyone here that's caught up on modern issues? Kind of get the jive that's going on here. How much effort are you really willing to put into defending Greenest from being taken by Am? When Greenest was only providing you with maybe 1 or 2 resources a year in taxes. And it's going to end up costing you 20 resources to defend Greenest from Am. And potentially even cost you more if you lose your battles. Is it really... You can't just give it to them. Because if you just give it away, then anyone's going to come and just start scraping at your outlying communities until you don't have any more and your kingdom shrink from being... rank 3 down to a rank 2. You have to defend it. You can bankrupt Cormier by forcing them to do skirmish battles along the coastline, which is maybe exactly what the Dragon Cult wants to do. Maybe the Dragon Cult wants to fatigue your resources down so badly that you can't afford to defend... I don't know the name of any cities in Cormier. I am not a Realms lore expert, but I'm sure there's a bunch of nice-sized communities that have some good resources, that 1,000 cultists and 3 or 4 dragons can come through and completely loot, just like Greenest, but on a larger scale. That's how this stuff works, you know? And it all started with your character being hired to damage the reputation of Cormier in the town of Greenest. That's what led Am coming in, and now the Dragon Cult is maybe they're working with Am, and they've taken half of Cormier in the course of a year and a half. Your character did that because you decided to go on a bender and go to small towns and trash the Herald of Cormier or whatever their kingdom is. But you see how this works? That's a cool campaign. That's a fun campaign. Tell me you wouldn't love to do that. Like you got Harpers coming after you. You know, like the Harpers Guild is coming to try to shut down your concert. Because you're destabilizing the Eastern economy inside of the nation. And now you're in a fight behind stage with Harpers before your concert starts, and you got to kill these guys off so that you can do your show. That's so fun. Who wouldn't want to do that? That's awesome. All right. So, but anyway, that's a rant. Like, And the chapter is like campaign ideas. See you too. I can just go on a rant. Anyway, I should put that rant in text. But anyway, okay, so we got restoring renown. You can restore renown at the rate of 1 point per season. Restoring renown. Damage reputations have to be mended with its own public relations campaign. We'll find better text to this, but it's restore rank task rank reputation renown restored. You automatically restore renown and just again to remind you is resources invested it's going to be 25 16 9 4 1. See, you automatically restore renown when you invest the resources to do so. Defending renown. Same as damaging reputation. Same as sabotage. Security is one of the sabotage. Security is a counter espionage tactic that prevents you from taking from having your resources sabotaged. So this is very similar to that. It's the exact same thing. It's just phrased a different way. So it might not even be necessary for me to spell out all this, but we're spelling it all out. We're padding pages, but it's a completely different conversation than a saboteur going in and bombing a building. You know, it's different from that. Same as security. Above a guild can invest resources in defending its renown. The defending is an opposed role. Task rank. Renown defended. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Resources invested. 1. This should look familiar, right? 4, 9, 16, 25. 1d4 plus 1. 1d6 plus 2. 1d8 plus. This is your normal die roll that you. Here, I'll look. You'll see how this works. Okay, so opposed roll using the rank bonus you've invested in. So if you invest 16 points into defending your renown, that's a 4th rank task, which means you get to roll a d10 plus 4, right? So you'll roll your d20. So an opposed roll, d20 plus rank bonus. If your result is higher than the attack, you no renown is lost. If you fail the roll, if you fail the check, if your result is lower, the amount of damage equals your command die reduce the amount of damage by your command die roll. Okay, so how does that work? So if you're going to roll a D, so restore. Here, let me just finish off my thoughts here real quick. Pop up. Okay, great. So you have one saboteur. You got somebody that's coming. You got that bard coming in. He's gonna let's say he rolls a 26. Bard rolls a 26, and you Bard rolls a 26 to damage your reputation. Your guild invests 3 ranks of resources to defend your renown. Damage your renown. Rolling a 1d8 if successful. Your guild invests 3 ranks of resources to defend your renown. Your defense roll is d20 plus 1d8 plus 3. If the guild rolls a 14 plus 3, rolls a 3 on the die roll, on the command die, rolls a 3 on the command die, while rolling below the bard's 26, the guild the bard succeeds in damaging your reputation, but the 1d8 the bard rolls 1d8 and subtracts 3 because you rolled a 3 on your command die. The bard can be successful in the performance, but if the bard rolls 3 or less on the damage, your guild renown remains the same regardless. This is the example of Nike using slave labor. If they're going to invest 25 points, if they're going to invest 5 ranks worth of resources in protecting their PR, they can spend 1 point of resources on paying the lifestyle for their manufacturing. So they're saving a ton of resources by hiring slave labor, but ironically, they're spending tons of money on protecting their reputation while they do it. Why don't they just spend the resources on paying good wages to their manufacturing facilities? It boggles the mind. This is the difference between good and evil organizations. This is selfish versus beneficial. That's a fun dichotomy that the DM can play with on the alignment chart about good versus evil. How much resources are they willing to invest, and what are they using those resources for? That's a big. You could spend money to give free health care to everybody in America. You have the political power to do it, but you lack the will. But you are definitely willing to invest money to make sure that you get reelected next year. So why? Why do you do that? Well, you could spend the same amount of effort giving everything everyone wants, and then you automatically get reelected because you're amazing. It's because of selfish greed versus protecting the community. Is that altruism? It's goodness. It's generosity and protecting your community versus protecting yourself and being selfish and scared. So can you drop a comment below if you get it. No trigger words, but hopefully that makes sense to you. Like, does that make that anyway? So this is awesome. Now you could run an entire concert campaign on this, of you going from city to city attempting to damage reputations. Like you could wipe you could completely destroy anyone's reputation inside of a kingdom. That's a fun campaign. I think so anyway. Let me like, subscribe, drop comment down below. But oh my god, it's 9:20. So we have ranted long and hard. You could use deception, intimidation, persuade. Man, all that stuff just clicks into place, dude. All that stuff just clicks into place. So that's networking. That's sowing rumors. That's recruiting allies. That's acquiring. That should be not accessing, but acquiring materials and specialists. Yeah, the specialist that's actually covered by the recruiting allies. Here. Because you can go get the rank of sage, like a 5th rank sage. You could probably find one in Waterdeep, 1 or 2 of them. Maybe in Baldur's Gate as a city, maybe you can find. Maybe there's one there. It's going to be, you have to roll a 25 to do it, but it's possible. So anyway, that's it for the day. This has been my spiel. This is In Command. It's going to be 100 plus pages. It's going to be on the DMsGuild. It's going to be 100% preview. You can read the entire thing. I kind of trust that if you like it, you'll buy it. That's why I make sure that you like the whole thing before you do, because there's a lot of crap that people put out there that they don't really put a lot of thoughts towards. That they'll charge you $1 or $2 to see half of it, and that's generally enough. But I'm not disparaging anybody. It's everyone has their own qualities. But I am trying to demonstrate here that we're trying to really put something special together. And we want you to read the entire thing and see the whole thing for you to see how special it is, so that you recognize investing the money in doing more of this stuff is coming down the line. More of this for Avernus, more of this for Greenest, more of this for a Bard campaign, Battle of the Bards, like serious business. So anyway, that's my spiel. That's what I do. So like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, check out my books. I'd love to have you drop some comments about if any of this stuff makes sense, or if it's exciting to you, or what you could, how you can see yourself using it in a campaign too. But I did it. I completed networking. I succeeded my goal. So I can come back tomorrow at lunchtime. Catch me tomorrow, and I'm going to. I already finished Greenest, so maybe I'll do some Eberron work tomorrow at lunch. So tune in next week and tune in tomorrow, and you'll see me building out encounter stuff for the Eberron adventure that I've been building, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So maybe some, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something, but stick around and you'll see it. So I'm gonna log out now, and I really appreciate you. Thanks a lot.